Hello and welcome to Module 2, Unit 4, which focuses on workplace motivation. The module is to find opportunities to explore principles, concepts, and models that have been developed and used in different work settings that can help you inform how you manage and lead in your organization. We know that good managing is flexible and not rigid. Managing is both a science and an art. It requires a mix of technical skills and social skills, as well as an interpersonal understanding with a realistic sense of yourself and what is happening in the world. The management role focuses on tasks, and equally, it focuses on people. In this module, we will have the opportunity to continue our learning on organization by looking at the lens of motivation. This project was made possible with funding from the Rhode Island Office of the Post-Secondary Commissioner's Early Child Care Education Careers Pathway Project. After completing this module, you'll have an understanding of the organizational structures that result in work satisfaction. You'll be able to identify different factors that influence workplace motivation, and you'll develop an understanding of the strategies that managers and leaders can use to improve work satisfaction. In our earlier units, we focused on traditional or closed organizations and their transition to learning organizations. We learned that traditional models of organizing were most successful during the first half of the 20th century. Then, as economic, social, technical, and political factors changed, there was increasing evidence that the workplace needed to change as well. There was competitive evidence, and there were also social and personal components of evidence. The competitive factors were driven by technological advances, and the social personal evidence focused on the changing needs and expectations of workers. This led us to acknowledge the role of motivation. More and more people wanted much more satisfaction in their jobs, more than wages and benefits alone could give them. They needed organizations to provide them with work opportunities that promoted and supported their needs to achieve. Dissatisfied workers were not motivated to follow the strict guidelines of a traditional workplace. As their motivation fell, so did their productivity and the pursuit of quality results. Organizations tried to counter this by increasing pay and benefits, or by reducing the time of the work week and improving general work conditions. But each time one of these improvements was implemented, the effect did not last. Something was missed in these actions to motivate workers. This was especially impactful for achievement seekers, who we learned about in our last module. In 1954, Robert Browner published a study he titled Alienation and Freedom. Browner interviewed many workers who, in the traditional model of organizations, shared that they were not satisfied nor motivated by their jobs, but that their overall living conditions outside the workplace were continually improving. He discovered workplaces want to remain competitive and productive, but to do so, they must have staff who are motivated. Economic, social, technical, and political factors influence organizational productivity as well as each individual's productivity. They're very closely intertwined. And individuals saw motivation as a key factor in their productivity. What happens when workers aren't satisfied? How does this manifest in the staff? When we dig deeper into Browner's work, we discover that there are some common complaints that workers reported. These complaints were not about wages or pay rates or benefits or working conditions. Instead, when put into categories, the workers' complaints were much more about the lack of psychological and personal opportunities at work. Here is what he reported. Workers felt powerless. They said at work things happen to them or for them, but not because of them. Workers felt a sense of alienation from the goals, rewards, or consequences of organization actions, the not your job syndrome. Workers felt a sense of isolation. Their job or function was all they knew. They weren't connected to the bigger picture. And workers felt a vulnerability to decisions, plans, changes that were made by a few managers without the workers' involvement or consideration for the impact that these changes would have on the workers. Brunner's study came about halfway through the 20th century. It came at a time when there was increasing focus on whether the strict control-focused principles of traditional management needed to be changed to match the changes that were occurring in society in general and to keep up with economic and political realities. Brunner's research and the work and experimentation of management and organization developers, theorists, and practitioners signaled the loosening of the reins in organizational structure. The focus on designing and managing workplaces started to trend toward the more open, challenging, flexible models that characterize the learning organization model, which we learned about in our last module. This included designing or redesigning the purposes and expectations of working in an organization, and it also led to many different types of jobs and working conditions. The research pointed to two models for understanding and influencing worker motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic factors in motivation, and work design, or the way in which an organization functions. So is going to give us some insight into motivation within the childcare setting.
Hi there, it's Chris Murray from childcare-marketing.com with another weekly success tip. And this week I want to talk to you about something I had a recent epiphany about related to your staff. So the topic of this video is all about staff motivation and appreciation. But the underlying current of it is my aha moment, which is think about all the different kinds of jobs and professions in our society. Think about But the underlying current of it is my aha moment, which is think about all the different kinds of jobs and professions in our society. Think about a typical day in the life of a preschool teacher. Think about, let's say you're working at another kind of restrictive type of environment like a call center. Let's say call center, person that's answering the phone and calling, versus a preschool teacher. Which job has more personal freedom? The preschool teacher or the call center guy? Which one is allowed to get up whenever they want and stretch their legs? Which one can take 5 minutes and go on a bathroom break if they need to without asking? Which one can potentially take a personal phone call for a minute and not have to worry about ratio? Guys, I'm here to tell you that my epiphany was preschool teacher, childcare worker is probably the job in the world that has the least personal freedom. It's crazy. You're in this room with these children, and you're not allowed to leave unless you get coverage. You're not allowed to go to the bathroom unless you ask, pretty much. And you also are usually in there with another teacher, a teacher pair, either a lead or an assistant, that you have to get along with every day for 8 hours. And how do you manage conflict if you're that person? I mean, even in a call center, you have different buddies. You can go get a Diet Coke. You can do whatever. You can take a lunch. You can... And so think about that. That was kind of a huge shift for me to think about. So when we wonder why this low-paid job of preschool teacher is a high turnover position, so the average industry turnover year over year for preschool teachers is about 35%. Why? Well, personal freedom is a big deal. Managing conflict, being thrown into the classroom without the proper training, not given a chance to move up, right? It's a very flat organization. And not being empowered to run your classroom the way that you want to, maybe not being given the tools to do the job. So it's not really about money at the end of the day, so much as it's about your feeling as a human being of wanting to make a difference in a way that isn't compelling for you as a teacher, that matters to you, that isn't just driven by some director that wants it the way they want it, or your coworkers, and dealing with all the conflict too of the kids coming in and out. So if you have a lot of part-time kids too, that's a whole issue that I don't have really time to talk about in this video. But all that change management is hard on teachers too. But let's talk about the freedom thing, and let's talk about, so how do we give teachers, what are 4 ways that we can give teachers a better experience, a better career, a better motivational reason to come to work every day? So the first way to do it, I mentioned it, is empowerment. So empowering your employees to manage their classrooms the way they want to manage them. Give them the tools, right? Give them all the stuff that they need, and give them the structure that they need, and maybe a set of checklists so that you can kind of hold them accountable to how you do things around here in your center. But then let them go. Let them do it. Empower them. Do not micromanage them. They come to you and ask you a question for how you should do something, put it back on, how would you do it? Let them decide. Okay, so let them manage their own classroom. Give them that empowerment. Second way to really keep them motivated long-term is give them opportunities to grow and lead and expand. Even though they might not be able to expand and grow in the organizational chart from lead teacher to assistant director that fast, you can certainly give them opportunities to be a resident expert about a certain topic, be a project leader about a specific project, be a mentor to fellow teachers who are new. So teacher mentors, resident experts, project leaders, all great ways to give them more responsibility. Let them be your social media maven. Let them be a resident expert in curriculum. So many different areas for opportunities to grow, lead, and expand. And then give them compensation for that extra work, okay? Finally, management by walking around. So manage your classrooms every day by walking around the class. I say in the morning, between 9 and 9:30, I would do a round if I was the director every day in 5 minutes per classroom. Make sure they have all the tools they need to do their job. Make sure that they are very clear about what they're doing, that they feel supported. Is there anything that you can get them? And if they need some time one-on-one with you, schedule it during nap on the calendar. So now they're set. They know that they might, they'll have some time with you if they need it. That's it. Manage by walking around. I said there were 4 things. The 4th thing is just the tools to do their job. And I've talked about this in a prior video. It was something like 87% of teachers buy their own supplies for their classroom in this country. Please don't make those teachers buy their own supplies. Please give them all the tools and the supplies they need to do their job. So that's the 4th thing. They're already not paid great, you know that, so don't make them spend some of their paycheck on buying supplies. Come on, give them what they need. So again, the 4 ways to try to address these personal freedoms. And I think also just telling them that you understand this is a challenging job. Gee, I just heard from Chris Murray that you're right. This is the job, one of the jobs in our society that has the least amount of personal freedom. And I want to tell you, Miss Teacher Sarah, that I really appreciate you, because gosh, I can't even imagine how it feels to have to ask to go to the bathroom and be with Sally all day, and you might not be getting along with Sally and X, Y, and Z, and dealing with all these kids and not being able to go on break when you need to, etc. The constriction of having to be in ratio in our industry, it's tough. No other business that I know of has that. Somebody from state walks in, boom, you're shut down, and it's tough. So recognize that. I think just telling your teachers that you recognize it and giving them a big hug would go a long way. But again, empower them, give them chances to grow, lead, and expand. Be a mentor, be a resident expert. Manage by walking around, and then give them the tools to do their job. So work on those 4 things. Look at, am I really doing those as a manager and owner? Am I doing those 4 things consistently? That should help you motivate and retain staff, guys. So that's your homework, is to go think about that and create a plan for doing that better. All right? This has been Chris Murray with Child Care Marketing Solutions with another weekly success tip, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Let's think about this concept of personal freedom to help us understand intrinsic and extrinsic factors. Intrinsic motivation comes from within, while extrinsic motivation arises from external factors. When you are intrinsically motivated, you engage in an activity because you enjoy it and because you get personal satisfaction from doing it. When you are extrinsically motivated, you do something in order to gain a reward. Most workers have come to expect that an organization will offer competitive extrinsic benefits, and achievement-oriented workers need higher-level challenges and learning opportunities. Improving the external motivators will have a necessary but not lasting effect on achievement seekers. Intrinsic opportunities are important. When we think about extrinsic motivators, we think about things like salary, job perks, benefits, status, and work conditions, some of the factors that you see on the screen here. And when we think about intrinsic motivators, we think about things like challenging work, purposeful work, achievement, and opportunities for personal growth. In the workplace, extrinsic motivators are necessary to attract and retain workers of all types, both achievement seekers and maintenance seekers. Workers have come to expect that organizations will offer extrinsic motivators and will continually improve them. Maintenance-seeking workers focus their attention on receiving extrinsic rewards and benefits and are more willing to tolerate the absence of intrinsic motivators. And achievement-seeking workers are looking for more of the intrinsic. So you can see a little bit of a conundrum to be able to have the ability to meet both of those needs. When we're talking about achievement-seeking workers, they have a stronger need for intrinsic motivators. Increasing extrinsic motivators, pay, job title, perks, etc., but not providing work that intrinsically motivates achievement-seeking workers will not have a sustained positive effect on that group of staff's motivation or their productivity. Achievement seekers will seek other opportunities to gain intrinsic rewards. When you see these quotes that we're taking from educators that focus on what motivates them, I want you to think about if they reflect your own experience and motivation, if they reflect the experiences of the staff that you're working with and leading. How does your role as a manager help the staff in your center to identify their motivations? And really, how does that provide a balanced opportunity to support the different needs of your staff for their benefit, for the benefit of your organization, and for optimal productivity and outcomes that you're seeking? Let's focus on the other factor, work design. The key to powerful workforce motivation is actually the work itself, the job, the task, the project. Once the work conditions are satisfactory, what a worker is allowed and expected to do and how it is to their motivation to do it become critical factors that engage them. And this is true at all levels of an organization and for all types of tasks. It needs to be experienced by the job holder themselves. There are 3 highly intrinsically motivating work design elements, and we're going to review them here. First, we have meaningful work. That refers to work that is known to be important to the purpose and success of the organization, the product, or the outcome. It could be maintaining a clean, safe facility, or maintaining excellent customer relations, or designing services. If a task is not done well, the overall effort will not be effective. When a job holder believes this, motivation to achieve is increased. The next category is a level of autonomy. The job holder is allowed input into what is done and how well it is done. Necessary adjustments can be made without seeking approval because you trust the staff who's working on that area. The job holder has access to up-to-date information and is able to use it. Lastly, feedback about performance. Knowledge of results is intended for personal and organizational improvement without fear of blame, so that it supports a positive workplace. If we understand what we're doing well or what we could do better, we become more motivated to follow through and to continue to improve and to accelerate of success. We're going to end this module with a video that provides some insight into motivating workers in the workplace.
Do you want to know how to motivate your employees? Your employees don't contribute, they lack motivation, but they are always looking for better pay. Do you want to fix this? Stay tuned. For the best leadership advice, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. I recently spoke to a company owner about employee motivation in the workplace. He was complaining. His employees didn't contribute, lacked motivation, but were always looking for better pay. He asked me, all I want is to have motivated employees showing commitment. Is that asking too much? No, it's not. In my time in the corporate world, I was in charge for 350 employees worldwide. And yes, employee motivation was absolutely the key for our successful business. What do I need to do to motivate my employees? Well, as a manager, you impact your employees' motivation, but in ways other than what you may think. Okay, understood. I need to give them more money. Money rules the world, right? Not really a good solution. What? Money may be attractive, but it has no sustained impact on employee motivation, nor on employee commitment. Please don't take this the wrong way. If you don't pay your employees an adequate income, then you'll demotivate your employees. They will not be committed to work for you. But the inverse conclusion will only work on an exception basis. If you pay an above average income, this will by no means result in your employees being more motivated or more committed over the long haul. First, we need to talk about what kind of motivation you need. What kind of motivation? Damn it, my employees, they should be motivated to do their work. That's it. There are two kinds of motivations, extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. If you hold a carrot to a donkey's nose, that's extrinsic motivation. This is how you would motivate the donkey to continue walking and to carrying loads. Applied to the business world, that means you simply replace the carrot with a financial enticement, like a bonus or a promotion. Now you're on your way to motivate extrinsically. John, if you really work hard over the next days and you finalize the project end of this week, you will get a $1,000 bonus. Let's go for it. By the way, if you threaten your employee with punishment, you're also motivating extrinsically. John, if you don't start showing up at work on time at 7 a.m. sharp, you'll get fired. It doesn't matter if it's a reward or a punishment. Extrinsic motivations involve actions that are initiated from the outside. Put bluntly, an extrinsically motivated employee will think, I'll do it because I have to. Otherwise... If someone takes an action for the action's sake, he's intrinsically motivated. He's committed to his work. He either simply enjoys the activity, he believes it's worth doing, or it represents an interesting challenge for him. An intrinsically motivated employee thinks, I'm doing this because I want to. Again, the question is, what kind of motivation do you need? Let's compare both of them. Extrinsic motivation will only and only then motivate and be useful if first, routine tasks need to be performed by simple rules. Second, a clear-cut objective is set. And third, the path to achieving it can be easily achieved. A classic example for this is piecework on an assembly line. It's quite possible to extrinsically motivate employees to do such kind of work. However, extrinsic motivation will not work with any task that's not routine. It will not work if the way to the solution isn't clear, and it will not work for tasks that call for creativity. Extrinsic motivation may even be counterproductive in these cases. The anticipation of a reward or the threat of punishment will cause the employee to focus strictly on this reward or punishment. But the focus should be on creativity, right? If you need committed, creative employees, you should not put them under pressure. Pressure kills creativity, regardless of whether it's a negative form as a punishment or in a positive form as a reward. In the workplace today, routine activities are more and more automated. They are being performed by machines, not by humans. So what we need are employees who are intrinsically motivated because we need their creativity. We want them to take ownership. We want them to act and think proactively. And we want them to show responsibility. Okay, how can I motivate my employees intrinsically? You can't. Daniel H. Pink got it to the point. Intrinsically motivated people have three characteristics. First, the desire for self-determination. They want to work independently on a task with the greatest possible elbow room. This means for your employees, tell them about the goal, but give them the freedom to decide how they reach the goal. Second, strive for excellence. Intrinsic motivated people want to grow. They want to grow with the task. They want to continue improving themselves on an issue that they feel is important to them. This means help your employees to become better in what they are doing. Help them with your feedback and offer them training. Number 3, purpose. The things they do must have a purpose. In performing their task, they want to be part of something larger than themselves. Talk about the company vision. Talk about the why. Why are you doing what you do? Why is your company doing what they're doing? Why should they, your employees, care to work for you? If you take care about these 3 points, you're going into the right direction. Don't bother about motivating your employees, but bother about that you don't demotivate your employees. That's the funny thing with intrinsic motivation. Your employees are motivated. They are motivated, at least when they start working for your company. What happens mostly is that people get demotivated over time. For example, by bureaucracy or by a bad boss. Therefore, your task as a leader is not to motivate. Instead, tell them about the vision and the why and take care that you don't demotivate them. If you like this video, please let me know by liking it below. Be sure
That last video certainly interjected a little bit of humor into our conversation, but it really aligns nicely with the work that's done in childcare organizations and the things that motivate our staff who tend to be on that creative achievement-seeking end. And so I hope you were able to take some insights from that video and from the other material in this module. Congratulations are in order. You have completed module 2. Now that you've completed this module, you've added some management strategies to your toolbox. You are aware of organizational structures that contribute to satisfaction in the workplace, strategies that managers and leaders can use to improve work satisfaction, and you have the benefit of using your own experience, your own organizational culture and climate to really translate these things that you've learned into productive assets and contributions in your organization. I hope that you've started to think about your own organization and management and how you can apply some of these concepts and those that you're going to be learning in the next module. The activities aligned with this module can be found in your Google link, and they'll help you reflect on your practice experiences and opportunities to apply what you've learned. Thank you, and get ready for Module 3